Max alert, Commanders fam! Another game ripped away in the final minute? This loss in Madrid ain't just another L, it's a mirror showing the rotten culture dragging us down. Or maybe the wake-up call we've been needing. Urgency level, critical, but in the middle of the chaos. A defensive titan just made history, 14 seasons that tie him to a Burgundy and Gold legend. You know why this immortal deserves better. Exclusive. Meanwhile, a forgotten backfield ghost just popped off with 5.3 yards per carry. The hero nobody saw coming? This ain't luck, it's the seed of something real. If you miss these 3 bombshells, you won't understand what's really at stake for in these final 6 weeks. Hit that bell, subscribe, and drop a like before the NFL buries us. The nightmare rolls on, and this time it played out at the iconic Santiago Bernabéu Stadium, Madrid, Spain. The Washington Commanders fell 16-13 in overtime to the Miami Dolphins, stretching their losing streak to 6 straight. And let me tell you something, this wasn't just another loss. This one cuts deep, because we had the win in our hands and let it slip away in the cruelest way possible. After a promising start to the season at 3-2, the Commanders now sit at a brutal 3-8, staring into the abyss of yet another lost year. But let's break it down, because you need to understand exactly how this one got away. The game stayed tight all afternoon on Spanish soil. In the first half, both teams traded field goals to apiece. Washington's offense, led by veteran Marcus Mariota filling in for the injured Jaden Daniels, struggled to find rhythm and punch it in when it mattered. The second half brought a little more juice, with each team scoring a touchdown. But we kept blowing golden chances in the red zone, and here's where it gets truly maddening. With 6 minutes left on the clock and a chance to take the lead, the Commanders got stuffed at the 1-yard line. 1 yard, that's all that stood between this team and a potential win, and we couldn't punch it in. Miami's defense stood tall like a brick wall, and our O-line just couldn't get the push. But the pain didn't stop there. After our defense came up clutch with a huge stop inside the 2-minute warning, we had another shot. Matt Gay lined up for a 56-yard field goal to win it. The ball left his foot, we all held our breath, and it sailed wide right. Overtime. And in OT came the moment no Commanders fan wants to relive. 32-year-old Marcus, with over a decade of NFL experience, threw a brutal pick to Dolphins corner Jack Jones. That interception set Miami up perfectly, and Riley Patterson nailed the 29-yarder to end it. Final score, 16-13. So I asked you, how many more times are we gonna watch this same movie? How many more times are we gonna be this close, only to blow it when it counts? This loss wasn't just about a bad throw or a missed kick. It's a symptom of a broken team, an offense that can't deliver in crunch time, and an organization scrambling for answers. Let's talk about Mariota for a second. Yes, he's a vet. Yes, he's won games in this league. But that throw in OT, inexcusable. With the game on the line, with pride still on the table even if the season's slipping away, you can't throw a pick that basically hands the game to the other team. That's unacceptable at any level, especially from a quarterback with his experience. The defense, to its credit, showed flashes. Defensive coordinator Joe Witt Jr. was stripped of play-calling duties, and head coach Dan Quinn took over. The results were mixed. We held Miami to just 16 points, which isn't bad, but we still couldn't get that one game-changing turnover when we needed it most. Washington racked up 379 total yards on offense, which sounds decent on paper. But here's the thing, yards don't win games, points do. And when you're putting up nearly 380 yards but only scoring 13 points, that tells you everything you need to know about how inefficient this offense is. Red zone woes continue to be our Achilles heel without Jaden Daniels under center. This offense just doesn't have the spark, the creativity, or the execution to compete week in and week out. And it's not all on Mariota. The O-line isn't opening holes in key moments. The receivers aren't winning their one-on-ones when it matters. The play calling feels stale and easy to read. Now the Commanders head into their bye week at 3-8. And let me tell you, this break couldn't come at a better time. This team needs to heal, physically and mentally. They need to regroup, reset, and find some way to salvage a shred of dignity in these final 6 games. When they return, they'll face Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos, who currently hold the best record in the league. That game's set for Sunday, November 30th at 8:20 p.m. Eastern, airing on NBC and Peacock. And I asked you, what version of the Commanders are we gonna see? A team that used the bye to fix things, or more of the same? I believe this loss in Madrid is a turning point. Not because it was worse than the other 5 straight losses, but because it exposes every crack in this team's foundation. We can't finish in the red zone. We can't protect the ball in crunch time. We can't make the plays that separate winners from losers. And here's the question every Commanders fan needs to ask. Is this rock bottom, or can it get even worse? Because with Denver up next and a brutal schedule ahead, things could get uglier before they get better. But let me tell you something else. In the middle of all this darkness, there are still reasons to believe. And we're about to dive into two of them. Because even though this team is losing, there are players out there giving everything they've got, writing their names into the history books, and proving that the future doesn't have to be as bleak as the present. And speaking of giving it all on the field, we need to talk about Bobby Wagner. Because while this team is falling apart around him, this 35-year-old is carving his name into NFL history the way only true greats can. In the first half against Miami, Bobby Wagner recorded 3 solo tackles. Those 3 tackles pushed him to 100 on the season. And you might be thinking, okay, that's solid, but what's the big deal? Let me break it down for you with those 3 tackles. Bobby Wagner hit his 14th straight season with 100 or more tackles. 14 straight years. Let me say that again so it sinks in. 14 consecutive seasons with at least 100 tackles. You know what that means? That means since his rookie year with the Seattle Seahawks in 2012. This man has never had a season where he wasn't a dominant force on defense. And here's the truly historic part. That 14-season streak ties him with London Fletcher for the longest in NFL history. London Fletcher, another legendary linebacker who played 7 of those 14 seasons. Right here in Burgundy and Gold. So Bobby Wagner isn't just making personal history, he's matching a record that belongs to one of the greatest Commanders defenders ever. The Commanders posted on X, best in the game. And I asked you, are they wrong? Is there anyone out there who can seriously argue that Bobby Wagner isn't one of the best linebackers of his generation, maybe of all time? Let's put this in perspective. Wagner is 35. In football, especially at a position as physical and demanding as linebacker, 35 is ancient. Most guys at that age are retired or riding the bench. But Bobby Wagner, he's not just playing, he's dominating. He's producing at an elite level. He's being the defensive leader this team desperately needs, heading into the Miami game. Wagner already had 99 tackles on the year. He'd also racked up the sacks, 6 stuffs, 1 interception, and a pass deflection. Those numbers are impressive for any linebacker, but for a 35-year-old in year 2, with a new team, that's just ridiculous. And let's talk about his impact beyond the stats. Sure, the numbers are great, but Bobby Wagner brings more than just tackles and sacks. He brings leadership. He brings experience. He brings a winning mindset that this young team badly needs. When you've got a 10-time Pro Bowler, a 6-time first-team All-Pro, and a Super Bowl champ in your locker room that lifts everyone around him. Head coach Dan Quinn called re-signing Wagner in the offseason a no-brainer. And he was absolutely right. How do you not bring back a guy who, even at 35, is still one of the best at what he does? How do you not want that kind of presence in your locker room? Especially when you're trying to build a winning culture. But here's the sad part. Bobby Wagner is having a historic season, tying NFL records, leaving it all on the field every Sunday, and his team is 3-8. That's a tragedy. This man deserves to be playing for a championship. He deserves to be in the playoffs. He deserves a shot at another Super Bowl ring before he hangs it up. And I'll say this, if there's any justice in this league, the Commanders will find a way to build a competitive team around players like Bobby Wagner while they're still in their prime. Because we wasted the final years of London Fletcher's career with mediocre squads. And we can't make that same mistake with Wagner. Let's also talk about what this record means for his legacy. Bobby Wagner was already on a Hall of Fame trajectory. With 10 Pro Bowl nods, 6 first-team All-Pro selections, a Super Bowl title, and now this 14-season tackle streak, his case is basically locked in. When he retires, and I hope that's not anytime soon, he'll be remembered as one of the greatest linebackers in NFL history. But beyond the accolades and records, what impresses me most about Bobby Wagner is his consistency. 14 straight years of elite production, no drop-offs, no lost seasons, no excuses. Just greatness, day in and day out, year after year. In a league where longevity is rare and consistency is even rarer, Bobby Wagner has been the blueprint for both. And here's my question to all Commanders fans. Are we truly appreciating what we're witnessing? Because when Bobby Wagner eventually calls it a career and we look back, we'll realize we had the privilege of watching one of the all-time greats. Still playing at a high level, not just hanging on, but still balling out. I believe Bobby Wagner is exactly the kind of player this organization needs. We need more guys with his work ethic, his professionalism, his hunger for greatness. We need players who don't quit when the record is 3-8, who keep grinding every snap like it's their last. The Commanders' defense has been a weak spot this season, ranking 29th in points allowed per game at 28. But imagine where we'd be without Bobby Wagner. Imagine how much worse this defense would be without his presence, his leadership, his ability to be in the right place at the right time, play after play. And let me say this too, the fact that Bobby Wagner is tying a record held by London Fletcher, another Commanders legend, is poetic. It's like the football gods are reminding us that even in a season full of frustration, we still have something special on this team. We still have a player making history. So what does all this mean for the future? It means that as long as Bobby Wagner is on this roster, we've got a defensive anchor we can count on. We've got a leader who can guide the young guys. We've got a standard of excellence that everyone else needs to chase. And that, my friends, is priceless. Now let's talk about something that might just be a glimmer of hope for this offense moving forward. Chris Rodriguez Jr. Because while everyone was caught up in the preseason buzz around Jakery Bulkrosky Merritt, a running back that had pretty much been forgotten is now making a strong case to be the lead guy. In the Commanders' backfield, Chris Rodriguez Jr., a 6th-round pick in the 2023 draft out of Kentucky, has had a career that, up to this point, could only be described as frustrating. In his rookie season, he had 51 carries. In year 2, that number dropped to just 35. For a back who showed real promise in college, those numbers are underwhelming. But this year, in his 3rd season, something's shifting. Against Miami, Chris Rodriguez Jr. had the best game of his pro career so far. He logged 15 carries for 79 yards, averaging 5.3 yards per carry. Those 15 carries were a career high, and those 79 yards were his most since he ran for 94 against the Tennessee Titans last season. And here's what's got me fired up: 5.3 yards per carry. That's not luck. That's not a fluke. That's efficiency. That's a back who's reading his blocks, hitting the right lanes, falling forward, and picking up extra yards after contact. That's exactly what we need from our run game. Remember, all preseason long, everyone was hyped about Jakery Bulkrosky Merritt. And yeah, it was a fun story, a 7th-rounder flashing in camp, showing burst, looking like the future of the Commanders' backfield. But now, 11 weeks into the regular season, that hype has all but vanished, and I ask you why. Why do we let preseason hype cloud our judgment when we know the real games are the ones that count? Chris Rodriguez Jr. didn't get the hype. He didn't get the headlines. He didn't have analysts calling him the next big thing. But you know what he did have? Hard work, patience, and the drive to make the most of his shot when it finally came. What we're seeing now is a running back committee situation. And honestly, in a lost season like this, that's not a bad thing. It gives us a chance to evaluate what we've got in the backfield, to see who might be part of the long-term plan. And based on what I've seen so far, Chris Rodriguez Jr. is making a strong case to be that guy. But let's keep it real. One good game doesn't make a career. Chris Rodriguez Jr. needs to show consistency. He needs to prove he can produce week in and week out, not just once against Miami. He needs to show he can stay healthy, handle a full workload, and be reliable in all phases of the game. And here's the challenge: in an offense that's struggling as much as ours, can any running back really thrive? When your O-line isn't consistently opening holes, when your quarterback isn't scaring defenses through the air, how successful can any back be? No matter how talented? I'll say this: the fact that Chris Rodriguez Jr. is averaging 5.3 yards per carry in the middle of this offensive mess is seriously impressive. That tells me there's something real there. That tells me that when this offense finally finds its rhythm, when Jaden Daniels is back and making plays, Chris Rodriguez Jr. could be a key piece of that puzzle. And let's talk about the timing. We're in week 11, sitting at 3-8, and at this point, we're basically playing for the future. Every remaining game is a chance to evaluate talent, to see which young players can be part of the long-term fix. Chris Rodriguez Jr. is taking that chance and running with it. He's showing he deserves a bigger role next year. But here's my concern: will the Commanders actually give him the chance to be the lead back the rest of the way? Or are they going to keep rotating guys, chasing perfect combo that probably doesn't exist? Because if they really believe Chris Rodriguez Jr. could be the guy, they need to give him the volume to prove it. They need to give him 15 to 20 carries a game and see what he can do with that kind of workload. And here's another question we need to ask. What does this mean for next year's draft? If Chris Rodriguez Jr. keeps producing, if he shows he can be a reliable 1,000-yard back, does that change our draft strategy? Can we use those early picks on other positions of need, knowing we've already got our lead back? I think Chris Rodriguez Jr. is in the middle of a make-or-break season. This is his shot to prove he's more than just a depth guy, more than a special teamer, more than a 6th-round pick who never pan out. This is his shot to flip the script on his career, and let me say something, Kentucky running backs. That school has a history of producing tough, physical runners who don't shy away from contact. Chris Rodriguez Jr. fits that mold perfectly. At 5'11" and 224 pounds, he's got the size to run between the tackles. He's got the speed to hit the second level. And based on what I saw against Miami, he's got the vision to find the right holes. But beyond the physical tools, what impresses me most is his patience. A lot of young backs, especially ones who haven't had many chances, tend to press. They try to do too much, force plays, turn every carry into a home run. Chris Rodriguez Jr. isn't doing that. He's staying patient, trusting his blockers, taking what the defense gives him, and that, my friends, is maturity. That's a back who understands the game, who trusts his line, who knows the big plays will come if he just keeps doing the little things right. And in an offense that's been anything but consistent this year, that kind of reliability is exactly what we need now. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you Chris Rodriguez Jr. is the next Derrick Henry or Nick Chubb. That'd be crazy. But what I will say is this: he could be a solid, dependable 800 to 1,000-yard back who can be the foundation of our ground game. And honestly, for a team that struggled to establish the run for years, that would be a huge step forward. The rest of this season is crucial for Chris Rodriguez Jr. He's got 6 more games to prove he deserves to be the lead back in 2026. 6 more games to show he can handle the workload, stay healthy, and produce even when defenses know the run is coming. And I'm hyped to see if he can do it. And there you have it, Commanders Nation. 3 stories that paint the full picture of where we are as a team right now. A gut-wrenching overtime loss that stretches our losing streak to 6. A legendary linebacker defying time and rewriting the record books. And a running back finally stepping out of the shadows to show what he's really made of. So here are my questions for you. First, after this 6th straight loss, do you still believe this team can finish the season with some pride? Second, do you think Bobby Wagner belongs in the Hall of Fame conversation? Or does he need more to lock in his legacy? And third, is Chris Rodriguez Jr. really the answer in the backfield, or are we getting ahead of ourselves? Based on one strong performance? I want your takes in the comments. I want debate. I want passion. Let me know if you're with me or if you think I'm way off. Because that's what we are as Commanders Nation. A family that's not afraid to have the tough conversations about our team. And if this breakdown gave you value, if it helped you understand what's really going on with our Commanders, then do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're here every day, bringing you the latest news, the deepest analysis, and the realest opinions about our squad. Don't miss a single video, because in a season this wild, you never know what's coming next. We're building something special here, a community of passionate fans who live and breathe Burgundy and Gold. And I want you to be part of it. So join us, turn on those notifications, and get ready for more exclusive Commanders content.